From WNYC, this is a special championship edition of NYC Now. I'm Janae Pierre. For the first time in 53 years, the New York Knicks are NBA champions. We've been talking with fans across the 5 boroughs for their reaction to the big win.
There's a lot of unity I see in the neighborhood. The stores are having up New York Knicks jerseys, even talking about it, walking past people. They're like talking, they're engaged in the conversation. Now we're friendly, and now we want to be personable too.
All my gratitude is to the Knicks players and what they've done for the city. They made us believe again. Everything's gonna be right in the world now.
Being very excited, very happy. I love my team. I love my city.
That's Knicks fans Hector Monera, Desiree Lewis, and Raymond Nakachu. The Knicks defeated the San Antonio Spurs 94-90 Saturday night, winning the NBA Finals in 5 games and ending one of the longest championship droughts in professional sports. The last time the Knicks reached the NBA Finals was 1999. They had to face the Spurs back then, and San Antonio won that series in 5 games. But 27 years later, the Knicks returned the favor. For generations of Knicks fans and folks like John Kozak, it's a moment they've spent decades waiting to see.
It means everything. It means everything. I'm ready to cry. I'm ready to cry. Go New York, go New York, go!
To help us understand what this championship means for New York City, we're joined by sports reporter Priya Desai. Hey, Priya.
How you doing?
Girl, I am hanging in there.
Tired, right?
Tired, but it feels good. It feels good.
Yes.
Were you on the edge of your seat the entire game? I know I was.
I was worried for the entire game until about the 4th quarter when Jalen Brunson was like, I am not going home without that trophy.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good to see. I mean, especially considering, game 4 and I no seat there. I was just standing up. But let's talk about the big picture, right? The Knicks have not won a championship since 1973. What does this moment mean for New York City right now?
Well, it brings a whole new generation of fans, that's for sure, with a core memory of this team and this entire playoff run. I've lived in the city for 25 years. And I feel like in the last decade, we've kind of lost a sense of community. Mm-hmm. Everything's gone kind of like influencers and TikTok trends. And this past 2 weeks, you just felt this energy in the city. And it was due to this team finally becoming what Knicks basketball always meant to those of us that experienced the Knicks at their height.
It was just so electric. And I'd like to quickly recap Game 5. The team yet again trailed by, I want to say as many as 15 points in that first quarter. Karl Anthony Towns was lost in the game with a bunch of risky fouls. In fact, he actually fouled out of Game 5. But the team just kept coming back, right? Just like they have all series long, trailing 83-73 with less than 8 minutes remaining before Jalen Brunson turned it on. He scored 10 straight points to help start yet another run for the team. What is it about the Knicks and comebacks, Priya?
Well, for Game 5, the comeback was all Brunson. And you could see it. He was angry in the 4th quarter. He was like, I'm not losing this game. I could just see it. And I said that out loud. I was like, oh, he's mad. He's about to go off. And after the game, he talked about that. He said, I came into this game saying I'm not going back to New York for another game. And so for Game 5, that was the comeback. It was all him. For the rest of the series, this team just played like a well-tuned machine. Mm-hmm. And yes, there were times that they were behind. And Coach Mike Brown figured out his system. And the team, they bought into what he put out there.
I got to be honest, Game 5 wasn't the best shooting game for the Knicks, but in all, it was a team effort. Throughout the game and throughout the series, we've seen the supporting cast show up time and time again. They seem to play for each other and they have no quit in them. Can you describe the transformation of this team from the start of the year to now?
Yeah, I would say no quit in them, and also not a ton of ego, because it's really difficult to decide to change up the entire system that relied on its stars and then turn it into a team where everyone mattered, because that's a lot. Look, to be a great athlete, you have to have an ego, right? To be the best of the best. There's no doubt in that. So how this team transformed into, like, now the entire country knows who Jose Alvarado is, right? Yeah. I don't think you could have said that maybe a year ago. And I think Tyler Kolek is going to be able to walk around the streets of New York. Like, people are going to know who he is. It became a system of teamwork, not a system of just stars.
Yeah. And I mean, you're talking about ego aside, I gotta mention OG Anunoby. I mean, such a humble dude, right?
So I'm a little biased. I did go to Indiana University. So
Okay.
I think that clutch game-winning tip-in to win Game 4 was one of the most beautiful basketball plays I've ever witnessed. And after the game, he just kind of gave his very straightforward OG answer of, yeah, feels good.
Yeah.
And then moved on. Like, so zen. It was just, and it's these stories, they follow each player. You have OG with his very, like, calm demeanor. You have Jose Alvarado with, like, he brings, like, the funny vibes to the group.
Yeah.
And of course you see, like, Josh Hart and his relationship with Jalen Brunson and Kat. And everyone has this energy that somehow works really well together.
Great ball on the court, but also the relationships off the court, the brotherhood. It's really nice to see. And, it was no shock to anyone that Jalen Brunson was named Finals MVP. Everyone was so happy, so proud of him. There was a lot of speculation about whether he was good enough to lead a team, to a title, being undersized. How much does his stock rise after this championship win?
He's one of the New York greats, the New York Knicks greats now and forever.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it that anytime that conversation comes up of the greatest Knicks of all time, it's going to be Jalen Brunson. Because you're right, he was doubted. Yeah. He was doubted when Knicks president Leon Rose got him, and now is considered one of the best free agent signings in NBA history. So, I mean, shout out to Leon Rose. He doesn't talk a lot to the media. He's pretty quiet. Mm-hmm. But he has an amazing basketball mind. And he knew bringing in Jalen was going to change this team. And it paid off, certainly.
Yeah, you talk about Jalen Brunson being one of the Knicks that we'll never, ever forget. But when people look back on this playoff run, years from now, what do you think they'll remember most about this team? That
this team had a lot of haters, quite frankly. A lot of people saying things like, the best teams are in the West. The Knicks may take the East, but never be able to handle, any team from the West. And they didn't let that negativity mess up their game, because you saw all these amazing comebacks. I mean, I think we witnessed one of the greatest playoff runs in the NBA, at least in my lifetime. I don't think now there can be any doubt that this is one of the best teams in the best team in the NBA. Like, this isn't a fluke.
Yeah.
Spike Lee was talking about back-to-back, and I was like, whoa.
Not a two-peat already.
Right? But, he has a point. This is a really special team that took players like Kat, Karl Anthony Towns, who consistently there were people who doubted the talent that he had. Mm-hmm. And this system, like, he played some of the best basketball of his life. I would say the same thing about like, oh, gee, the system brought the best out of him. And so they have all of that to work on and work off of. And it's that the sky's the limit. Credit to Mike Brown. I think that he was able to know who his leaders are, know who his, what I call like a personality hires are, and meld them together to create this super team.
Yes, a beautiful super team, a championship team, and it certainly feels good to be on the winning team. That's sports reporter Priya Desai. Thanks so much for chatting with me today and for hanging out with me this season. It's been a really exciting one. I'll never forget it, and it's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
Up next, we'll hear from a couple of long-suffering Knicks fans who I work with to get their reactions. That's after a quick break. Stay close. Welcome back. We've spent a lot of time talking about what this championship means for the city, the franchise, and generations of Knicks fans. But for some New Yorkers, this moment is a little more personal. My colleagues Raji Vikram and Jared Marcel have spent years talking about the Knicks, arguing about the Knicks, and, depending on the season, complaining about the Knicks. And these guys even use some of our meeting time, when we're supposed to be talking about serious episodes. Instead, they're talking about the Knicks. Well, today, they finally get to talk about a championship. Raji, Jared, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, Janae.
Thanks for having us.
Come on now. And this is actually your vibe all the time, right? Can we get a little bit more excitement? Like, this is real. We won the championship.
Let's go. Yes.
Let's go. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Thank you. Jeez Louise. Where were you two when the final buzzer sounded?
I was at home. I had to take this in by myself. I couldn't have people around me distracting me. I need to lock in.
Jared with his monastic approach to...
Reggie, I know you were outside.
Yeah, I was outside. I was at a spot in my neighborhood where when the buzzer sounded, there was just pandemonium. I kind of have been comparing it to Beatlemania, or what I think that must have sounded like, with everybody just screaming their heads off. And then afterwards, we took to the streets. We put it around Clinton Hill area, Fort Greene. I saw the party letting out of Havana Outpost, which has been a big watch party spot for people. Yeah. That's where a lot of hoopla was going on. And BAM, they had a watch party too. Fort Greene Park. People were really doing the most.
Oh, yeah. I was posted up out there at BAM. It was a good time.
I keep saying it felt a little bit like Mardi Gras and a little bit like New Year's Eve, both events that I have never actually participated in, but how I would imagine.
Yeah, no, I totally get you, because I actually told a friend, I was like, this is giving Mardi Gras vibes. And, that I definitely have experience there. But I know that you two have spent years watching the Knicks through losing seasons, false starts, rebuilds, and of course, playoff heartbreaks. What has it been like to finally reach this moment as a Knicks fan?
I mean, to me, it was like cathartic because they had been such a joke for so long. And I remember the 90s when they were in the mix, but by the time the century turned, they were just at the bottom of the NBA. And I don't want to name names right now because I'm in such a good mood, but coach after coach, draft bust after draft bust, management team after management team, and it just seemed like they would never find their way out of the wilderness. And then you see, the Spurs always up there, the Lakers always up there, the Heat, the Warriors, and it just never felt like it would be our turn. And now it feels like we have built something that we'll never forget when it comes to the Knicks.
Janae, I'm going to tell you, being a Knicks fan, it is not for the weak, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Every time we tried to rebuild, it was a lot to deal with, and it weighs on you. I'm one of those Knicks fans who has a chip on his shoulder because we have been a laughingstock to everybody. And it's easy to support a team when they're winning, but when you have a history of losing like we have the past several decades, it's hard. So I just want to say this. If you're going to be a Knicks fan now, that's great, but I want y'all to support this team when they're not so great. Be a lifelong fan. I'm still like processing it myself, but I'm grateful.
I'm wondering, was there a moment during the playoff run when you started, Jared, to believe that this team could actually win the championship?
Beating the Spurs in game one, that's when I knew that this team was ready. I knew that we could beat the teams coming out of the East, but beating a young, hungry Spurs team that just dethroned the defending champs, I knew like, hey, wow, we can compete with these guys. We're not a Cinderella team. We can beat these guys.
What about you, Reggie?
I would say it was during the Cleveland series. If you'll recall, they had a 22-point deficit in that series and came back. They wound up sweeping Cleveland after sweeping Philadelphia. And that meant they had all this rest. And I think one of the things about the roster that's impressed me is that in comparison to the last few years, they play their bench quite a bit. And it's been helpful to let the household names, the stars like Brunson and Cat and Bridges and Hart get some time not on the court, and the team doesn't fall into disrepair when, Deuce McBride or Alvarado are out there. Hook Porty had to play a few minutes in the championship game because Cat's foul trouble and Mitch, I think they took out Mitch for a couple of reasons. And they were deep, so against Cleveland, they cleaned them up real quick while San Antonio and Oklahoma City played a long series, and it doesn't guarantee anything. Everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the face, as the saying goes. But they got to rest up and ice their knees, and they came back strong in the next round, in the final round.
Yeah, like I said, this has been a really good series to watch. Very exciting. I'm wondering, when you two think back on this championship, years from now, what do you think you'll remember the most?
I'll remember something that I think isn't Jared's favorite part of this, which is how many people got into the Knicks that maybe or maybe not haven't been into them for very long or didn't grow up around here. There were a lot of people in my life who sometime around the third round started dragging me outside, asking me to come meet them this, that, or the third place to watch a game with them, who respectfully were not talking to me about the Knicks on a Tuesday night in February. But I think that's kind of cool. And the analogy that's been sloshing around my head has to do with another hobby of mine, which is Marvel Comics. When that became the biggest thing in film between like 2012 and 2019, I suddenly had people in my life talking to me about Spider-Man's best friend, Ned, and the Jabari tribe of Wakanda, right? Because those movies were so big. And these aren't even like A-list characters for Marvel heads like me, right? And I just had to accept that it had become the monoculture and enjoy that fact, right? That it wasn't just a thing I did on a Tuesday night in February. So that's what happened with these Knicks. You walk outside, people are dapping you up, strangers are smiling at you, and longtime friends who were never asking you about David Lee or Jeremy Lin or Landry Fields are suddenly trying to talk to you about Deuce McBride. I think that's fun.
Yeah. What about you, Jared?
I remember most how they stuck with each other, how they played for each other. Mike Brown, first year coach, got these guys to do what they did, and I'm thankful to have witnessed it. The Knicks winning a championship is one of those things where it's like I've made my peace with it that I might not see it in my lifetime, but I saw it. So I'll never forget this moment.
Has this championship made you think about any particular moment from your life?
Absolutely. It reminds me of the 1999 lockout season where we were, the 8th seed and we beat the Miami Heat in the first round, who they were the number 1 seed. And then I think we beat the Hawks and then the Pacers. And, we were the underdogs then. And we ran into the Spurs and we got shellacked. But, all these years later to witness us beat another young, talented Spurs team the way that we did in 5 games, and we were all on the edge of our seats the whole time. It's really poetic, and I'm thankful to have witnessed it.
Reggie?
I'll take you back a little bit further than Jared. I was thinking a lot about Patrick Ewing, and after they went to the finals in '94 and lost to Houston, They played another epic series against the Indiana Pacers the very next year. And Ewing is famous and I guess infamous for missing a finger roll at the buzzer of the decisive game of that series the next year. And it just felt like for that group, Ewing, Starks, Oakley, that was the end of that chapter. I thought a lot about the guys who never got to do this. They meant a lot to this fan base. And we got to see them around here and there, right? In some of the crowd shots, you saw Sprewell. You saw Ewing, you saw Starks and Oakley. And it reminded me actually of the Liberties run too, kind of recently, where, you saw Teresa Weatherspoon in the crowd and some of the other players who never got to have this moment, but the franchise really embraced them. And to me, that was really a beautiful thing to see because even though they might not get a ring, they get to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such a special moment, especially for our lifelong Knicks fans. I hope you guys can ride this high and ride this wave for a long time. Rajiv Vikram, Senior Editor of Audio Strategy, and Jared Marcel, Senior Producer of NYC Now. Thanks so much for joining me, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this special edition of NYC Now. I'm Janae Pierre. Go New York, go New York, go! All right, see you next time.